act normal, guys.
Act normal. Act normal.
We're on the interwebs.
We're on the interweb. All right, we should be live for some reason. But you're good to go? Welcome to the Joy of Color.
Thank you.
Today we're here doing an artist chat with some amazingly talented artists that you see here before you. I was going to say before me, but I'm the last guy in the corner for some reason. But I'll be your host for the evening, Mr. David Ruano. I am a curator and co-founder of Loiter Galleries. And first and foremost, we want to give a big thanks and big shout out to Loiter Gallery, Monica, and Vinny for putting all this together.
Thank you.
We couldn't do this without them. Thanks to them. We also want to thank our sponsor, Smog City, for hooking it up because they always do a lot of community and a lot of art events. And we've been working with them for a couple years now, so we always want to give them a big shout out. And if you didn't notice, we do have cameras and audio equipment everywhere. So we are recording this in a live studio audience. And this will be part of our largest podcast, LA Artist Podcast, that will be hopefully done by the next couple days or so. But first and foremost, we want to introduce the artist. I do have a little tidbit about every single artist because I did my homework for some odd reason. And we have Tasha, goes by Tasha Vision. You can literally spot her from a mile away. Her vibrant paintings really emulate her spirit. Always colorful, always vibrant, always with a big, huge smile. And she also does her own canvases, which, kind of denote her willingness to just go that extra mile to do the best that she can. We have Chad. He is an amazing guy that does some very unique dioramas, some of the unique collections that we have here today. If you haven't seen them, the detail on them is amazing. So please feel free to look at every single one of them for about 20 minutes if you can. And then we have my brother, Andrew Ruano. He goes by Ari Studio. And he does the very colorful, happy robots, which kind of look like squares and circles for the most part. But the longer you stare at them, the joyful you feel because you see the community of robots in his paintings. It's really cool. And with that aside, I get to sit down finally, and we can just start the show. You guys ready?
Yes, thank you for all your hard work.
That was a monologue that I've been talking
Of course.
Thank you, David. I can breathe now. You are listening to the LA Artist Podcast, where we chat with local artists about their works, styles, what influenced them to start their artist journey, and more. Subscribe so you don't miss the latest episode. And to see bonus content, check out our website on the description below. This podcast is produced by Loiter Galleries, an LA-based gallery and studio space dedicated to showcase work from upcoming artists, as well as provide space for art shows, workshops, photo and film production. Feel free to check out the gallery at loitergallery.com. But yeah, so today we are going to be chatting with these amazing artists. As we said, we will be able to take some questions from you guys throughout the show. But I do have some prepared questions, and we'll start off with a couple somewhat easy questions. One of them is, can you tell us a little bit about your style, maybe if you have a meaning behind your work, and elaborate a little bit on that? We can start off with Tasha.
Okay. Hello. So, and I was lucky to be here while we were setting up, so my art is behind right now. So I do kind of an abstract geometric style, obviously a lot of vibrant color, a lot of gradients. And I've been doing art my whole life, really, so I've dabbled in all different styles and have kind of tried a lot of different things. But for me, I think I really love abstract because I'm indecisive, actually, when it comes down to it. It's hard for me to pick portrait or landscape or one specific subject. So kind of focusing on just the color and the abstract shapes really fulfills me and just kind of makes me happy, and it's what I love to look at. So
I can dig that. And then we can go on to Chad. What about you?
Let's see, where do I start? A lot of people look at it as a whimsical type of work where I create these memorable moments into these tiny little glass dioramas. there's really no specific name I could call it. I growing up in school, I liked doing shadow boxes because they were always fun, like creating these little imaginative worlds. As I got older, I was painting, for the longest, and I was like, what can I do different? I always try to think outside the box, and I just always liked creating these capture dreams, I guess you could say, instead of trying to paint it, how else can I convey it, So I started doing these glass dioramas, and they just started attracting a lot of people emotionally, just, humorously. They just find it very creative and funny. So I just, the more I engage with people, the more it inspires me to create more things, the more things that happen through our time of living and things that we experience every day. I wanted to do something that is different than just hanging up a painting, maybe something that they can treasure for a moment and always smile when they see it, But yeah, it's a lot of emotion and thought goes into these
I
little
can do that.
pieces.
Yeah, well, and even just a little tidbit. I know on one of your, I forgot where on the artist bio you called it a freeform pop punk
Yeah,
style.
that's more of like my paintings, just because they're so bold, and a lot of people are like, oh, are these prints? Because it
Yeah,
just looks so clean, and which is a compliment.
and
But no, everything's
yeah,
hand painted,
yeah.
and very tedious, but the outcome is very enjoyable, especially hearing the feedback from just strangers.
I can do that.
These are different just in itself, that capture a different feeling, which is fun as well. But yeah.
I can do that. And then Andy, how about you?
Oh yeah, I have to answer, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So my robot started like I was helping a friend out. She was going through a tough time. I didn't know how to make her feel better. I don't have words. I don't do words good. All I know how to do is draw. So for some reason, the first thing that came to me is like, let me draw her a smiling robot. Hopefully, like that'll make her feel better. And it did. It helped her for a while. And then I just started like liking the design and started drawing it for myself. Um, Eventually, like I started drawing more and more, and hopefully, like if more people see it, hopefully it makes them also, smile for a little while. And I've been drawing happy robots ever since. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember some of the first robots that you did were 2012, give or take.
Yeah, and they were like skinny and long and kind of weird looking. But as time went by, I was like just refining the drawings more and more. Uh, the original robots had two eyes, three antenna, but I wanted to make like a community of robots. Everybody just supporting each other, trying to like if you're happy, share that happiness with somebody else. Hopefully, it makes the next robot happy, and hopefully it goes on like that. So, I started, kind of like simplifying my design, um, to be able to convey that, because otherwise it would be too convoluted. Like it was too many like antenna like over each other, so it wouldn't have the same feeling. So sometimes like simple is better.
Yeah.
I was watching a lot of anime at the time, so the simple emotions, I was like, oh, it's so simple lines conveying so much emotion. So I wanted to emulate that with my work.
I can do that. And thank you for sharing a bit about the process. What about Chad? Like, I know for these, they're very detail oriented. Like, do you have a process? Like, where do you get your models? How do you come up with some of those ideas?
Um, a lot of it's clay, 3D printing. I work with other or various 3D printer. I guess you could call them artists, where I could say, I'm trying to bring this idea to life. Can you kind of send me something that I can work with? Other than that, I make things by hand, or I just kind of shop around to put these ideas together. I know you can't really see them, or I can like explain about each piece, but I try to do things that, I have one that I'm staring at right now is a phone booth kind of just in the woods, and it's titled Long Distant Call because there are no phone booths really that are around anymore unless you see them in a museum, maybe New York. I don't know, but I haven't seen one in a long time. But it just kind of is supposed to remind you of like how far we've come and the things that we're like leaving behind that we just might forget about because everything's surrounded by a lot of social media. Everything's accessible like online, where we just don't really have to walk to go use the phone. It's right here. It's accessible right in our palm of our hand, Other pieces, the car wreck one, a lot of people love because they always think it's that movie Nightcrawler. And it has it has nothing to do with the movie. It's just more about like, even today coming here is like almost 2 hours, and we only live like maybe an hour away. But it's just how you stop and see how people are just slowing down to get a glimpse and have their phones out to catch that moment of tragedy, versus being considerate about those that maybe have somewhere important to go or maybe are in a real emergency. We just tend to stop to get that to get that post, to get that view. And, I've never really been guilty of that because I move with a purpose. So I'm just trying to get to my destination. I could care less, but that piece kind of symbolizes how we're so quick to get the photo versus, questioning whether or not this person or this human being is all right, and that's kind of what that piece symbolizes. I have so many pieces that have so many stories behind it. I could go on forever, but it's very fun explaining them because it also, resonates with that person who may not see it the same way. And when they hear the explanation behind it, it hits them a little bit harder to where like now they can relate to it instead of like just wondering, what is this? And that perhaps could initiate them to like it enough to take it home, and then share that story with whoever.
Yeah, because we see that a lot with art. Art, for the most part, if you don't know the story behind it, we see it as face value. We give it its own meaning. Yeah. And then hearing the artist's view makes it so much more meaningful, which is pretty cool.
100%.
And Tasha?
Hello.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Hello, good morning.
It's morning somewhere. How about you? How do you go about even just the process of building the canvases, and then some of the paintings, like you have the hands and the face coming out?
Yeah, well, a lot of my art, like the just plain abstract stuff, like these first 3 pieces, are mostly just based off of cultivating joy, looking pretty, using all the colors that I want to use. And I design these digitally, so I'm kind of a digital / traditional artist. So I kind of love to use my digital skills for the design part. I don't really use it to create final pieces, but I use it during the design process. And I just play around with some different shapes in Illustrator. And what happened was I learned how to build square canvases. I basically bought a canvas from Michael's and I took it apart and I was like, what's going on in here? What does it look like without the canvas on it? How did they do this? And I decided, oh, hey, if I could build a square canvas, I could also build any shape. So since I was putting in that time and effort to build canvases, I thought I might as well make something that I'm not going to be able to buy in a store. So yeah, that's kind of how they're called my odd shapes. That's kind of how they came about. And I love to use kind of the contrast between the vibrant colors with the dark colors in order to add depth and create an illusion. Because if you just put all rainbow colors, which I would love to do, but the bright colors don't look as good unless they have some dark colors to contrast with them. So that's just kind of how they shine, in my opinion. But then I did start doing some pieces last year with some figures kind of emerging out of the shape. And both of those pieces are actually me in the shape. And that's because I wanted to explore kind of a different side of myself in my art, which is not always just pure joy, but it can also be struggle. And I have some anxiety and depression in my life, and I always have since like early teen years. I started seeing a therapist, and I was just like, something feels off here. And they wanted to give me a bunch of drugs and all that. I tried a little, but wasn't having that. So actually, really what started to save me was my art practice, because it was kind of this time of reflection where I would really sit down and face those hard thoughts and just spend hours and hours kind of focusing on beauty, but then focusing also on my own struggles. So when I painted myself in those, I didn't quite expect for it to be kind of a challenging process to like look at yourself in the face, especially the far one where I'm like breaking through the shape. That one's called Strive. And it's just kind of about having that persistent effort to just keep striving for the better thing and keep striving to kind of get past some of my own limitations in my own mind. So I didn't quite expect how hard that would be to paint myself. And since I did it, I actually had to like take a little break and go paint some happy shapes and just focus on that for a second. But a lot of what I really want to convey is kind of that contrast between like life has beauty and pain. And I want to acknowledge both sides. I don't want to pretend it's all rainbows and butterflies and sunshine, because it's not. So yeah.
Yeah, no, because it is true. I remember I wrote a poem. I can't really remember the entire thing, but you can't find the light without being in the dark. Because if you're just surrounded by light, like where can you find your true light? You have to have a little bit of darkness to be able to find your path through the light. And I like that. I like how you're able to. Yeah, you're able to motivate yourself to become a better person through your paintings and stuff.
Yeah, it helps me heal, and it also is my way of saying like in the high school bathrooms in the stalls, how it's like Tasha was here. Like that's what painting is for me, but just doing it all over the world.
I can dig that. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. How about either Chad or Andy? Like, have you guys ever had self-doubt throughout your process, and like, how do you overcome that?
I never have self-doubt. I never have self-doubt. I'm always super confident. That's why I hide behind my robot. No, I don't know. That's a hard question. Chad, you talk.
Sure. Yeah, like there's moments of doubt, like if it's gonna turn out the way you picture it, and then it turns out even better than what you expected. So then that obviously alleviates all that doubt. But going into it, it's always like man, it looks like shit right now. It's like I'm not like very inspired. But then I know like once I get to the end process, or like 85% of it starts to get better and better, and then I get more excited and more motivated to finish it, because then the outcome is, like you said, like better than what you expected. And then you're like, okay, cool. This turned out like, better than I expected. That's, with everything, the paintings, with these domes, it is a struggle. I've broken a few of them. I've trashed a few of them because they just didn't turn out the way I wanted it. I'm always questioning, like whether this is too much, because obviously less is more, you know. So I asked my girlfriend all the time, who's my greatest, you know, support in everything. Should I add more? What do you think? And
Yes.
she's just like,
Add more.
yeah, a little bit, or no, it's fine the way it is, or what are you trying to say in this piece? And then I explain it to her, and yeah, that's fine. So, you know, it turns out, you know, better than you anticipated, for sure.
I like that you talked about that shit phase, though, because I think with every art piece, there's like a kind of crappy phase that like you have to get through. And some people like don't have the determination to keep going, you know, but that's kind of what being an artist is like, just keep going.
Just finish it, you know, you can't half-ass it, you know, or.
Well, and I feel like that's why it's called a sketch. You know, when you're sketching, you're just throwing ideas onto the canvas, onto paper, onto whatever, and then figuring out what you're gonna do. You have to have that messy stage because you can't build upon something that's already perfect. You know, if you have a perfect sketch, then what are you building? You know, yeah. But yeah, I totally understand that aspect of it.
I kind of want us to have a show where it's like, it's just the sketches. It's just instead of having like cool like finished paintings everywhere, it's just sketches. It's just.
But how would I sketch this?
Dude, you do more than this. You have other art.
Yeah,
you have other
I do.
art. Yeah.
I do,
Yeah. Or just do the frames. Just have your
right. That's it.
Your
just
3D printer guy just do
an
like
empty dome.
Yeah, that's the sketch.
with a post-it note saying like the idea.
Your mind creates it. Whatever you see in there. That's
There
it.
you go.
That's what it is.
Well, yeah, because that is a little tidbit of behind the scenes of something that we've been talking about. Even just creating a show where the artists showcase their sketchbooks. Yeah. You know, because we all have sketchbooks, and there's a lot of pieces there that don't look like anything. They're all crap. They're all just half ideas. But you know, to another person, they're like, "Ooh, that's actually a good idea. You should finish that." And so that'd be something cool.
Back in the day, we used to call those our Bible. It'd be like full of sketches and stuff.
The
And
sketch Bible.
like people would be like, "Oh, where do you come up with this stuff?" And a short explanation is, I used to work at this bottling factory where I had a lot of time to kill and a bunch of scrap papers, and I would sketch all this weird shit just because, and then I have a shoebox full of them. And one day it was like, you know, these are pretty weird and trippy, and I follow a lot of artists that I don't see this type of stuff, so I just started painting it. So that's kind of where the whole idea comes from. Of a lot of my stuff is from the shoebox, you know, of just random ass shit that I paint later on, and it's like, oh, this is pretty fucking cool and weird, you know.
Yeah.
But everybody has their beginning, you know.
Yeah, and we can even just elaborate on that. Like, what was that evolution like for you? Because I know I've seen some of your paintings, and then now seeing you do the dioramas. But like, what was that evolution? What were some of the first ideas that you painted?
Shit, man. We'll go back to like, some people will look at my stuff and be like, that looks like a Simpsons character with big ass boobs. You know, one of my earlier pieces was like this female who had big boobs, but the torso was a man's face. And the idea behind that was my eyes are up here because, you know, us men are guilty of it. You know, we meet somebody for the first time, we're looking down and not up, you know. And I wanted to paint this and convey that emotion. And I would set up, you know, this piece at different places, and you see little kids walk by and they're just laughing at it, and adults be laughing at it too, you know, oh, this is funny, but never really asking me what it means. And the explanation behind the painting, I feel, makes it such much more, you know, valued. And that was one of my early sketches I thought was kind of weird and funny to paint, you know, and bring to life. That would probably be one of the first ones that I did.
And then what about Tasha? Because I know you didn't start off custom canvases from the get-go.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, I've been making art for so long that I've gone through so many different phases, but yeah, I only really found my style in the last few years. So everything before that was just a lot more derivative, kind of. And I went through a big fluid art phase because it's so much fun to pour paint. But then it kind of led me here. But yeah, I've just been doing anything and everything for so long. I did a long period where I was, painting pet portraits, painting wedding signs, doing whatever I could just to kind of do art as a business, but really just finding my style in the last couple of years. So,
and Andy?
So it all started for me back in first grade, I think it was. I was coloring. I love coloring, and my aunt taught me a way to color to like be different from all the other kids. So she told me like, very lightly shade in the main parts of the image, and then with the same color, like darken the outline, and that'll make it like pop a little bit more. So like it always fascinated me just to be coloring. And then in middle school with my friends, we would always trace over like posters of like Dragon Ball Z and X-Men comics and all that fun stuff like Spider-Man. So it came back, that love of drawing came back. And then in high school, I remember I was drawing my typical like comic book characters, and then some other friends came along that were also like interested in drawing. So he was sitting way across on the other side of the class, and then he just decided just to come over to our side of the of the class just randomly to be the three of us drawing. And this was in French class, by the way. That's where my art career started. and and I wanted to make my comic book characters be like more lifelike. I loved Alex Ross, the way that he paints. It was like, oh, cool. So I want to get better at this. So I took my drawing classes a little more seriously, and for some reason, I mean, I still love like drawing comic book characters. That's what I do whenever I get bored of drawing my robots, just to uh, give myself space from my robots, go to draw something else, and then come back with fresh eyes with my robots. Uh, but yeah, that at that point, I was like trying to get better at comics, but at the same time drawing animals. It's still nowhere near the robots. So I just started drawing more wildlife. I love drawing wildlife. And for some reason, like after a couple of years of drawing wildlife, this uh, incident happened with my friend, and that's when I started trying to help her out. And that's when like the robots clicked. So even though I've been drawing comic book style and like realism wildlife art, it was nice, but there was something about these robots that not only helped my friend, not only helped myself, but it just like when people see it, they tell me like, oh, for some reason, I don't know what it is, but they make me happy. They make me smile. So I've been like, just focusing on this new style that I have, and uh, people can remember this. Like people come up to me, it's like, oh, I remember, like you're the robot guy, or I have one of your pieces, or somebody gave me one of your pieces like many years ago. Nobody remembers my wildlife art. Nobody remembers my comics. But yeah, this just like it's been on many people's minds, and I'm so grateful. I'm so happy that like people like my happy robots.
Yeah. And I like that touch that you mentioned, that you'll go back to another style to kind of like because again when you're creating something for a long period of time, you kind of need a little bit of a pause. You need to kind of clear your mind from it. Even though it's your passion, you still need, we sometimes need those breaks, Have you guys felt some of those breaks as well?
Oh, yeah, like a palette cleanser, I would call it. Basically, when I do geometric work and I'm taping off these sections and I'm obsessively blending, trying to get it perfect, it like gives me all this kind of pent up energy that I then go hit another canvas with like freestyle, abstract swirlies. So it is that kind of balancing of energies. And I always thought I'd get to the point where I just did one thing, but I realized I'll never be like that because my brain needs kind of multiple things to feel fulfilled. How about you?
100% agree. And to touch on some of the stuff you were saying here, just was bringing up memories of like third grade. Like, shit, man, it's a long time ago. And like drawing comic characters like Ninja Turtles. I know, right? Not too long ago.
They're like 20, right? Because they're 20.
Like, Ninja Turtles was like the shit then. I'd just be drawing Ninja Turtles in class more than I'd be studying or like doing my homework. And I'm sure you got this too. And perhaps you.
I got a
like,
B in French class, even though I hardly did anything.
I don't. I got like an A in phys ed. That was it. But like you'd always have that classmate like, oh, can you draw me this? Can you draw me that? And at first it was fun until you get like older and just like, man, I'm tired of like drawing this stuff. Like, I kind of want to do my own thing. And the same thing with comic characters. I lived in these apartments where I was the only kid, and then this kid moved next door, and he happened to be an artist, and we became friends. I remember going to his room, and he had on his wall like posted like all his own comic book characters he created, and I was like, oh, this is fucking cool, man. Like I read comics too, and then that inspired me to start creating my own comic characters and drawing my own comic books, and just expanding your imagination, beyond its limits and stuff at that time. And it was just so much fun to do. And then as you get older, things change, you got to start working and all that, but that artist always sticks with you. So how can I, express myself in a different way to where like, not only is it just a reflection of me, but a reflection of somebody else who sees it and just relates to it, where it just hits them in a certain way. That's like the best part about creating art, I think. A lot of people are like, oh, you create art just for like the money. And it's like, no, you create art because you have to, like it's just something that's in you that just has to keep creating. And a lot of it's therapy too, like I'm sure artists up here, like you go through some shit where you just have to create because it takes your mind off things, or whatever experience you had, you have to put it into some kind of painting or some artwork, and it actually makes you feel better at the end of the day. And as long and it hits somebody in a certain way, I have stories like forever, but it's like, if you don't mind me expressing this story of just a painting where it was just a canvas. I painted like flesh tone, and I put a slice through it and put a little bit of blood off of it, it was flesh, just a cut. And we met this guy at one show where it hit him so hard, like it was just crazy, where he told us this story, like how his mother used to cut him as a child. And this painting reminded him of that, and like how far he's come, because he's very successful now. And just seeing that, like he couldn't like take away from it. Like he needed to have it, he wanted to hang it next to all his accomplishments to see how far he's come from. And it's like, I didn't paint that, for that particular reason, but it touched somebody in a way where like it was meant to be, and that's pretty cool, man. It's a cool feeling,
Yeah, because it's like once you create the painting has its own life, because you never know, like you said, like you never know who's gonna see it in a specific way and want to have it, and then it's gonna live at their home for many, many years. So it's gonna have its own life outside of just your studio, and I feel like that's why having artwork in your home makes a big difference. Just having white walls around you at home, it feels empty. But even having a couple pieces up just brings your home to life. Having those stories behind every painting. That's pretty cool, though. That's really cool.
And sorry, but I like how we're talking about like the art or the meaning behind our art. Yeah, we might have a specific meaning why we make the artwork, but to somebody else outside looking at the piece, it might have a different meaning to them. And that's also correct. It's like the art doesn't just have one meaning. It can mean one thing to me, but to somebody else it could mean something totally different, which is also correct. So it's like when people tell me, like, walk up to me, it's like, oh, what is the meaning behind this piece? I tell them, well, what does it mean to you? Like, what do you get out of this piece? And then when they tell me, it's like, yeah, that is correct.
Yeah. Yeah, that is also, yeah, because the painting has its own life, and the buyer, the collector, the person gives it that meaning to them. And then kind of like opinions. Everyone has their own opinion. They can look at the exact same painting, but somebody might love it, somebody might hate it, but you already did the job of making sure that people react to it in whatever way. That's the reason why we paint. We want to express ourselves and have people enjoy it or not enjoy it, as long as they're reacting to it,
And also the money.
And also the money, of
Yeah,
course.
that helps. That goes a long way. It goes a long way.
Right, Tasha? It's all about the
yeah,
money.
we really got into this for the money, right?
And another little tidbit, we're talking about the meaning. We've been talking about, our journey, as artists, like all the different styles that we've done. Like, has there ever been like a specific either tidbit or advice or mantra that you've gotten throughout your career that kind of like stuck with you? Like, is there? You could think about it in the meantime, because like for me, there's always been our uncle told me many years ago, there's always going to be somebody smarter than you, so learn from them. There's always going to be somebody not as smart as you, so teach them. Because knowledge is not yours to keep. We learned it from somebody, and if somebody wants to learn, we should teach them. That's kind of like how I live my life. Hence why we are able to produce so many things. And if somebody wants to learn how to do it, I'm like, yeah, I'll show you how to do it. This is my process. And then if I'm on a job and somebody's doing something amazing and I want to learn it, well, I'll ask questions. But yeah, like, has there been like a little bit of advice that kind of stuck with you throughout the years?
I would have to say that for many years, I did live by the mantra, fake it till you make it, because like my mom told me that. But it is interesting. It is an interesting question, because I do need to find a new mantra, because I'm realizing that if you're I haven't made it is the thing. But if you're staying in that mindset that you haven't made it, that you're forever trying to make it, then you're not celebrating what you have accomplished. So I'm trying to be more in that headspace where it's like, I have done a lot of cool stuff already, but let's keep going. But it's not completely faking it, I think we can, all three of us up here can own what we have done. So I'll have to find a new mantra.
I thought you were going to say I have to find a new mom.
She told me fake it till you make it.
Like, no, Chad?
Well, I don't know. That's a very good question. Just one I've never really expected. And I can't think of anything because I'm a self-learner.
Well, that's it.
Nobody,
that's
nobody
the quote.
really taught me anything. I just started sketching, and it was funny when you said sketching. That's all I was, because I was afraid to put color to it because I didn't know how to color, and I thought I would ruin it. So I have so many just sketches everywhere, and then I I started painting, like what paints can I use? And I just started coming across different materials and utilizing them. And then what can I do other than this? Because these are fantastic artists up here too, because they are thinking outside the box. They're creating something original and different. And that's who I feel I can see myself being surrounded by, because there's a lot of great artists in the world who can paint really well, but they're not creating anything that's spectacular because it's a photograph. They're just painting it. Like, you could just buy the photograph, like, I don't understand that part. Yeah, you're great, but where's the creativity? And that was something that always drove my passion to do something different, abnormal. Let's throw some 3D dimensions into the paintings to give it more character, to make it more interactive for whether they're the customer or just a viewer. And that's kind of what drives me to start doing dioramas, because I could do something fun and, like I said, whimsical in a 3D like diorama versus just painting it. I can express it a little bit differently, maybe even better. So it's always just try to do something different, and seeing that you create your own canvases is freaking badass, man. Because it's hard, like, you can find little canvases like that are in a heart shape or like a hexagon, but like, you're going way out of the box to like make your own and stuff. And that's pretty cool.
I even try to come up with fun names. Like, it's not here, but I have one that's called Polygosm, and I want to do one that's called Rectangle. So like, it would be cool to come up with more funny shape puns, but sometimes the titles just come to me before I can get to a pun.
Like, I could see your like, if you ever seen them, like, they are custom made canvases, but when you're looking at them straight, it looks like you're looking down the street. But when you come up close, it's like it's popping out at you. It's the way they made the canvas. Like, maybe that could be something you can apply to your next, because how you're saying you want to do something more experiential.
Yeah, I actually I was posting about my first 3D one that I did today. So I am actually entering the 3D realm as well. So yeah, it's
like,
similar
I
to
could
that
see it.
that
I think
depth.
you could pull it off.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to do a canvas sculpture as well. That's basically like a freestanding canvas that's somehow stretched, but don't really know exactly how it's going to happen. It just happens when I sit down to do it. I figure it out. I can't necessarily explain it, but it'll happen somehow.
And that's where a sketchbook comes into play. Just sketch it out, and then whether it be a couple of weeks, couple months, a couple of years, you'll be like, oh, that's how you do it.
Yeah, it's got to start somewhere,
you gotta
right?
start, yeah.
The most magic really is in those sketches in a way. And I don't know if you guys feel this, but sometimes like the first rendition of a certain kind of style you do, like I feel like my very first odd shapes were the most magical in a way, because they were the first ones. Like, when you first stumble upon something new, there's just an amazing feeling that I feel like you try to chase that feeling, but you can't ever fully. Mm-hmm. It's just that newness is just always, you know.
Yeah, because after that, you want to like replicate that, and it's just not the same.
You can never fully, you can even make it better. You can make it more complicated. You can expand on it, but nothing is as magical as that. Like, when you first stumble onto that new thing. And that, as an artist, I just live for those moments.
Just always create new things.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that as well, right? And to find that balance is hard.
Well, and I feel like, especially for your canvases, because I'm pretty sure it's a lot of math. A lot of angles.
Yes, I try. We do our best. It took me I built a few before I even realized that it all had to add up to 360. I was like, why are these a little off? I'm like forcing them together. I was like, oh, because it's literally like 2 degrees off. But yes, there is some math.
and where do you usually, because you say you create the concept art, and then where do you build them, or like what's your process for building them, like actually physically building them?
Yeah, I'm lucky to have a mother who has a garage. So I can't do this in my
Free
apartment.
space.
So I just say, hey, Mom, what's happening this week? And I go and I build as much as I can because I have to drive a bit to get to her place. So I'll build 5, 6 canvases in a day. And then it'll take me like a half a year to finish them. So we're pretty good after that day. Then I have to do all the, I add a bevel to the frame before I stretch the canvas over it. It's just many, many steps. But I'm lucky to have that. And then I can kind of take my time on the painting.
Because you talked about some 3D paintings. I know you've shown it to us. One of your paintings that has a similar feel to the faces, but it's got a 3D aspect to it.
Yeah,
right?
it was at your guys' brewery show at Long Beach Beer Lab.
And so you're gonna do that, a little bit more of those styles,
I definitely
and then
plan
do the big
to.
one.
Yeah. I just have to. I gotta sit down and get those designs. That sometimes things happen a little slower, but they will eventually. The important things take time, but it'll happen.
Yeah.
Tasha, when are you gonna stop stretching canvas and just start like chainsaw carving just pieces of wood to whatever shape you
There's
want?
something I love a canvas texture, but I could just cover any wood panel with canvas as well. Like it doesn't have to be
that'll solve your 3D problem. just
any
chainsaw
shape.
carve.
That would be cool.
Yeah, just chainsaw carve a tree stump, and then we could just have it here in the middle.
Yeah, it's not that
Oh, boy.
heavy, right?
No, it's only a couple 100 pounds with phone calls all over the place.
It's because my parking is expired.
Oh no. Well, if anything, what we could do a quick little break, and then we'll open it up to some questions from the audience. Does that sound good with you guys?
Thank you, guys.
Great.
Thank you.
We'll do a quick little break.
I'm gonna go
Yes,
fill
yeah.
my meter. Sorry.
And break.
Hello there, fellow podcast listener. Are you ready to style up your game while supporting your favorite podcast show? We are introducing a brand spanking new apparel line by Loiter Galleries. With every purchase, you're not just going to be looking amazing, but you'll keep your favorite podcast alive and kicking. From tees to hoodies, dive into our collection at loitergallery.com under store. Trust us, your wardrobe and this podcast will appreciate it. So thank you for shopping and listening.
Are we ready? I think we're ready.
I am.
You are. I am too.
What's up?
Hello and welcome back to this artist chat for the joy of color. One of the things that we are doing today, or at least for this second section of the podcast, as I like to call it, is we'll be doing some questions and answers for the amazing artists that we have here today. We have Tasha Vision.
Hello.
We have Chad, Sore Thumb Art.
Howdy.
And then we have Andrew Ruano, Ori Studio.
Yo.
And I am your host for this evening, Mr. David Ruano. I'm a little bit less nervous today now that we've had a couple beers thanks to Smog City Brewing. They are one of our sponsors. And as always, we want to give a big shout out to Loiter Gallery, who we couldn't do this without them. Loiter Gallery. Feel free to look at all the amazing art. But again, these guys did some amazing pieces, the very colorful, abstract, geometric in the back. Chad did all the dioramas that are to die for because they're moments in time that you really have to look at all the details because they're amazing. And my brother just does circles and squares, all the little robots that you see in the background.
Just does.
Just circles and squares. But we will be diving into a couple more questions and answers, and our audience members will be able to ask any questions that you guys might have. I know that in our podcast, if you guys haven't heard it, we'll do a little section called the Quick&A, where we ask some somewhat random questions and answers. Tasha has been through it. My brother's been through it. Chad hasn't, so that's going to be perfect for him.
You're going to get graded too.
You do get graded on some of these
Horrible at
questions.
exams.
Exactly. They are exams. No, but we'll start off with that, and then we can dive into some of the audience members' questions. Do you guys have questions in mind Yes? Yes, I know he does. Yeah.
He's just waiting.
So feel free to think of a couple questions that you might want to ask the artist. I know we did a little bit of an extensive chat about their journey, but feel free to ask any other random questions. But we will start off with the quick and eight. Again, it's very simple. We will go 1, 2, 3 every time, and as fast as possible. This is a shorter list than last time.
Purple.
So are you ready? Exactly. We are going to answer like that. But let's start off with a simple question. Do you prefer pencil or pen?
Pencil.
Chad?
Pen.
Andy?
Pen.
Mm.
Apple pen.
Apple pen.
Pen, pineapple, apple, pen.
What would you say is your favorite medium?
Acrylic.
Chad?
Shit.
That's your favorite acrylic?
Shit is my favorite.
unique.
Because I can mold anything out of shit. Acrylic.
Acrylic as well?
Acrylic as well.
Yeah.
You guys copy me.
I figured. Even though he
We
does
like you.
yeah, even though he does do the diorama, he still goes for acrylic. I can dig that. Favorite shape?
Well, I'm going to give the same answer I gave for the podcast. Odd shapes.
Odd shape.
Triangle.
Ooh, triangle guy.
Yeah.
Isosceles or equilateral?
Shit, I don't know. You got me on that one. I'm just thinking of the whole like pickup line because you're cute as a triangle.
Oh. Andy?
Trapezoid, because it's a lot of triangles.
Yeah, that is really true. And here's one that's we kind of talk about sketchbooks and all that fun stuff. Do you finish a sketchbook before you buy another one, or do you just buy sketchbooks brand new without finishing any of the old ones?
Buy another one, but I don't really use sketchbooks in like a pretty way. They're all just like crazy chicken scratch ideas.
Well, that's what sketchbooks are for.
Yeah, but some people make nice ones. I'm always jealous, but I
Bunch of
don't got
losers,
that
no.
time.
Chad, what about you?
I agree. Sketchbooks halfway finished, you get a new one.
Yeah, especially if they're on
And
sale.
do the same thing.
Especially if they're on Andy?
I also agree. I haven't even started some new sketchbooks that I haven't. I'm already buying more sketchbooks.
Yes. I have about 4 different sketchbooks that I got brand new just because they're on sale, and I probably won't touch them for another couple years. What is your drink of choice while you're painting?
Oh, I have to have, what is it? It's a caffeinated beverage, a beverage for hydration, and then a beverage for fun. So it's a coffee, a water, and like a sparkling ice or something that tastes good.
All at once?
Yes.
Dude.
My beverage girlies get it.
I would like to say Smog City because, you know, they're promoting, but no, I'm sorry. Duckfoot Brewery is my favorite. There's a honey drink this or the bees will die. It's my favorite.
I can dig that.
Yeah, that gives me my encouragement.
I like that. I like that. Andy?
And I can say Smog City because we're sponsored by Smog City.
We do have a
Smog
lot.
City, that's my drink of choice.
Yeah, we do have a lot of that at the house for sure.
They have a place in Torrance, Long Beach, and Hawthorne.
And
Oh, and
Glendale.
Glendora?
And Glendale.
Wherever these guys go, there's like a trail
there's-
of Smog
yes.
City cans just like left behind them.
There really is. There really is. Here's a fun one. I don't know. I think I asked this question last time, but I did add another option. So do you prefer RGB, CMYK, or RYB? Oh, do you guys know the difference?
Well,
No.
RGB and CMYK, well, RGB is digital, right? CMYK print. RYB is red, yellow, blue. But why did you not mention CYM, cyan, yellow, magenta? That's my favorite.
Well, because
The neo primaries are superior.
I did come up with this question like this morning, and I was nervous for the entire show. But,
Well, I'm going to say CYM.
I can dig that. Let's see, Chad.
I don't know. I don't know what those are, dude. I'm sorry. What is that?
RGB for digital, whatever you see on your iPad or your phone. CMYK is for printing, And then our YB is red, yellow, blue, which are the primary colors.
Oh wow.
So what do you prefer?
I'm old school, man. The third one right
Yeah.
there.
Red, yellow, blue. I
And
can
I
dig
guess-
it.
I rarely do anything that's digital. So yeah,
I
I'll
can
go for
dig
the third one.
I can dig that. Andy?
Red, yellow, blue, because I'm not a nerd.
Yes, that's
And I do love the brightness of RGB. Nothing can beat like those neons you get on the screen.
yeah, because it has light right behind it for sure. And then this one's always a fun one. What kind of music do you listen to while you're painting? Ooh, what's
It's
yeah.
all over the place. A lot of different stuff. Indie, emo rap, dance music.
Ooh,
Depending
emo.
on my mood. Depending
Emo
on what
rap.
I'm painting.
I can do that, Chad.
I don't listen to any music, honestly. I throw on something in the background, you know, on
White
Netflix or
noise.
something, something stupid.
yeah, that's good.
Some
Like-
Deuce Bigelow, and then I just start just painting and working, and that's it. That's all.
I can do
You
that.
like the background noise?
I think so.
Can you
I
work
don't
in
know.
quiet? Because like I can't.
No, I can't
No.
either.
You-
As long as I have something like where I'm not invested in, where I know it's just something
Okay.
going on in the background that I don't have to be
like
fully attentive to.
like a movie that you've seen 1,000 times.
Yeah,
that-
100%.
all right. I can do
And
that.
that's it.
I can do that. Andy?
I also like watch a lot of like either video games or anime, put it on the background while I'm painting. But if I do have to listen to music while I'm spray painting or doing like some outdoor painting, I'll probably listen to like Latin alternative music.
like that.
Yeah.
Some Latino for
Some
sure.
yeah.
I can do that. Wait, is that?
Yeah, something like that. I'll
Something
listen
like
to.
that. I can dig that. I can dig that. Oh, and then this is another amazing question that we come up with is what food pairs well with your artwork? Have you ever thought of that? What's a good food pairing?
When on the podcast, I just said like candy because that's like what looks like my art. But I want to think though, like what like nostalgic, I don't know, like a grilled cheese or something.
Some
Yes, for sure. But I'm talking about a more like, I don't know, something out of the box pairing. But yeah, definitely candy.
I can see grilled cheese because it's very calming. It makes you happy.
Yeah, that is
Very
nostalgic
yeah.
feels. I
All
love
right.
the nostalgic feels.
Chad, Dude,
That's a
you've never
straight
had
out
this
of left
question
field
before.
question. Like, what the
Yeah.
heck, dude? How do you compare your art to a food substance?
Well, what would you eat while looking at it?
Something organic for sure. So I
Like
guess.
a kale salad.
I have no idea. Some vegetables.
What would you pair with that COVID piece right there?
Oh, with the,
Man,
Some bats.
I feel like a
During that time, it was a lot of ice cream. You had to stay hydrated, you know. Yeah, we had, what was those things called? The big sticks or whatever. Because that's what we ate when
Or
we had gotten
drumsticks?
COVID.
Yeah, I can do that. Andy, what about you?
I think for me would be the Jawbreakers from Ed, Ed, and Eddie.
Oh,
Yeah.
the Jawbreakers, yes.
Yeah.
Very colorful.
I think that's what would pair with my paintings for
Yes,
sure.
I can do that. And then here's again with food, because we always end up talking about food on our podcast for the most part. What is your favorite vegetable? And do you like how I say vegetable instead of vegetable?
Vegetable.
Brussels sprouts with bacon.
The bacon part is the great vegetable.
Yeah. Yeah, you like the gassy ones. See.
I just wanted the bacon, so I had to pick something that paired with
Yeah,
bacon.
can I get Brussels sprouts with bacon, but hold the Brussels sprouts, please? Thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that. Chad, favorite vegetable?
I really are leaning towards like steamed squash right now.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I can see
It
that.
really is. It
Yeah.
really is.
I would go with potatoes because of French fries.
Yes. I like that. I like that. And then, do we have any questions from the audience? Yes.
Do I need a mic or?
No, I'll repeat your question.
Perfect. Okay, so, by the way, you're an incredible interview.
Oh, thank
Your
you.
interview style, I know I mentioned that earlier, but props out to you. The question that I have for the artist is number one, I know that you guys went into detail about your process and everything, and you might have mentioned it before, but I kind of want to know what really inspires you, whether it's a person, place, vegetable, or thing. Number 2 question. Where would you like anywhere in the globe to showcase your art? Number 3, define your definition of freedom.
All right. So the first question, that's the first one that I remember. The other ones you might have to repeat. No. What would you say inspires you guys to create, whether it be person, place, or thing? That would be the first question. But what would you say?
A combination, definitely. Like for me, it's more like a feeling and like a need for something in my life rather than like something specific inspiring me. It's like, oh, I need this color. I need this joy. So I do it.
I can dig that. Chad?
See, yeah, a combination as well. Life, people, situations that inspire me to create. You know, that instead of like sitting here like complaining about something, let's just make it an art piece that speaks for itself, and then everybody can grasp to it. You know, that's.
I can dig that. Yeah, because you do a lot of moments in time.
Yes.
So I can see that. That's speaking to the moments in time. Andy?
And for my robots, it was helping a friend, trying to make her feel better. But then it became trying to make myself be happy. And then, so all my paintings are just to help me feel better. And then hopefully it makes other people feel better. But it's mainly just for me. So this is what I do to make me happy.
Yeah. And it's not in a selfish way, because you have to create for yourself first, and then other people will enjoy it as well.
Yeah, if other people feel happy, that's so cool. But it's mainly just, you know, to keep myself going.
Yes, 100%. Keep yourself sane.
Yes, I can dig that for
I think
sure.
all of us
You
can
have
agree
to keep yourself
on
sane.
that.
Yes. And then speaking of insanity, what was the question number 2?
Number 2 is where on the globe would you like to showcase your art?
Yes. Where would you like to showcase your art? Like where in the entire world? What would be a good spot?
Like Tokyo or something would be cool.
That's a cool spot.
I can see.
I got friends in Japan.
Do
that
some colorful, cute, kawaii things in
I could-
Tokyo. The robots would
I
be
can
good there
definitely see
too.
If we ever do something, I'll let you know, like when we go to
Okay.
Tokyo.
Let's do it. I'll get it.
Because my friends really want me to go there. So I was like, ugh. I just gotta get the money.
Yeah. Chad, what about you? Where would be a good
That's a
spot?
good question. These are things I've never would think about, but just
And that's
the
why
first
we
thing
have
that,
these conversations.
right on the
Yes.
spot. The first thing that comes to mind would be like Italy. I think it's very Victorian, like a lot of things that I've seen, and I think presenting some of the work there would be something that they're not used to, or maybe not used to seeing, which could be fun. Even if they're asking me stuff, I don't know I can't speak the language, but yeah, I think it would be fun. I think it'd be cool. Yeah, Italy.
That would be a cool spot. Yeah, and especially having, like you mentioned, it's something that might not be in the norm. So seeing the reaction of other people
Yeah.
would be interesting. Other cultures.
Yeah.
That would be really cool, especially for your work. I think that would be cool. Andy?
Something that I'm working towards is to go to Australia. There's a show that happens like in quite a few places, in quite a few different countries, called the Other Art Fair. They've had it like here in Santa Monica, New York, Dallas, but I want to be part of that show when they have it in Australia for some reason. Yeah.
And
Specifically Melbourne, Australia, not Sydney.
yeah.
Not Sydney. So that's one of my like goals, to be part of that show, and that's what I'm working towards. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final question was something about vegetables.
Define your personal definition of freedom.
Ooh, that's a really good one. Define your own personal
Creating
definition.
art when I want, as I feel like it, and just being able to do that. Like, it's really hard in this day and age, in this economy, to like make that time for art, you know? And I think it is like the ultimate expression of freedom is like doing this thing that doesn't necessarily have like a goal that serves capitalism kind of thing.
I
you
can see
know?
that. I can see
So
that. Yeah.
just making art really is my way of expressing my freedom, I'd say.
I like that.
A good response. I can agree with it. It's like freedom of speech. You should be allowed to express yourself in any means necessary, any gender necessary. Just express yourself without any boundaries, because that's what it should be about. I mean, even if it's offending people, it's how you represent your freedom, how you feel. You know, no boundaries.
Yeah, living for yourself, not
Yeah.
for other people.
Yes.
I can dig that. Andy, how about yourself?
To me is, again, like, it's just resonating with what you guys said. It's like drawing for yourself without having like other people tell you like what to do or what to draw. It's like yeah, hopefully like it resonates with others, but it's mainly like creating what you want to create, not creating for somebody else. It's like because I mean, for putting it to the art world, sometimes you have to do commissions, you have to work for somebody else, which is, sometimes you have to do that. But like when like your most creative is when you're like something that comes to you, that's what you want to do, no matter what other people think, if it's good or bad. It's like, as long as you like it, that's freedom for me.
Yeah, that's what matters. Yeah, I like that. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. Those were great.
Anybody else
questions.
have any questions? Mike?
My question is about evolution of the work as for Natasha's newer pieces. Like, do you get a vision of this is where I want to go with my work? I mean, personally, I'm more organic and spontaneous. I'm curious your evolution, how you go about evolving as an
Yeah.
artist.
So I'll repeat the question for the audience, the live people, and the podcast. Like, what is your evolution towards the next pieces?
It's interesting for me because even though my pieces are very like we talked about the math and like planned, and I build the shape, there is a lot of spontaneity in the design process and the conceptual like beginning phases. So it really is, it's that vision strikes you and you're just like, this has to exist eventually. It might take me a month, it might take me a year, it might take me several years, but like I just know eventually it's going to exist, and it eventually does.
It's a good question, because the first painting that pops into my head is very offensive painting to some people. But that's the joy of creating things, because you keep evolving as an artist into like, what else can I do next, instead of just sticking to a particular style. Like I feel like, not to be cliched, like some of my work is like an Eminem song. It's just there to. Some people are going to find it offensive, but it's the art behind it that people tend to overlook. So like, what can I do to not really offend people, but just kind of put this expression out there? And one piece I'm thinking of particular, I put in a floating frame because they're different colored canvases. I wanted to do differently each one. So it's an actual window that I have a naked female in it, from her backside, kind of looking over her shoulder, and I have 3 penises that are different colors, whistling. Like, it looks very animated, so they're like whistling at the woman. The name of the painting is called Whistling Dixies, and a lot of people, when I say that, people just start rolling, and they get it now, versus just staring at it and getting the laughter. I don't do it to offend people, but I do it to just invoke this emotion out of people. So that type of artwork just keeps evolving with whatever crazy ideas come into my head, you know. But it's just fun. It's fun to see people's reaction. That's like mostly like why I do it.
Well, I can do that. And Andy, well, how about you as far as your evolution?
You guys have such good evolution, like pieces and explanations. Like, I just like to draw my happy robots, and
Hey, that's
if
just as valid.
and if I could like find a new robot that like wants to be part of this community, it's like sure. It's like I did a show with in where was it, Manhattan Beach, and the band that was playing was called like formerly Alien. So I wanted to draw like one of my robots as an alien, and that's how my alien came to hang out with the rest of the crew. So it's like just things that I like or things that I find that like are funny or like I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to like evolve with my robots, but at the same time, I like, you know, anime. So I'll probably do something, you know, that has robots and anime qualities to make into my pieces. But
Yeah.
probably
Your
that's it.
robots have evolved
Probably
themselves.
that's it.
Well, yeah.
I don't. I've drawn them so many times that I don't know if I've evolved with my robots, but at the same time, I have.
Yeah, well, as again, as your brother seeing your work evolve, one of the things that I do see is even just how you evolved from choosing color palettes. You know, just going from
my color palettes.
like just full colors
Yeah.
to using
Yeah.
specific
I know, I was gonna
colors,
say that part.
shades, different gradients and stuff like that. So,
Can
yeah.
I add
Yeah.
to this topic too is if you're maybe not a practicing artist or maybe you want to be or something, it may seem like artists like get so many ideas. How do they do it? And really the ideas come like when you're just putting in the work and like making stuff. So like the more time you spend in the studio, the more the ideas will come. So just,
And again,
you don't need
sketchbooks.
the idea. Yeah,
The
just
sketchbooks. If you practice, just even if it's 5 minutes a day, just do a quick sketch. Doesn't have to be a
and it
finished
might
piece.
spark some more
It'll
ideas.
spark
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
I have quite a few sketch ideas for like some stickers that I'm working on. If you're a fan of like the Pokemon or trading card community,
Oh yeah.
then you'll like him. If not, then you will hate him.
But the best thing is you will react to them. You know.
And that's
It's even-
art, baby.
That's art. That's art. Yes, exactly. Do we have any other questions? I can also do. Yes, Vinny.
So this next question I'm going to ask for the artists that are up and coming or having challenges. And so the question is, it seems like you guys have what you're doing down, you're in your own world, you're creating, but then there's another world, and that's getting the message out. And unfortunately, because of the internet, or I should say because of the internet, not unfortunately, because of the internet, and because of other ways of marketing, part of getting the word out means that you also have to have a business side. So what are the challenges? Do you embrace posting and doing everything else you need to do online, and also going old school and building websites and all this stuff? Or do you look at it as a necessary evil? Or do you just keep doing it and want to hire somebody else? What's your feelings about getting the word out on your work?
That's a great
That's a
question.
good question.
Yeah, I'll repeat it so the audience members can also hear it for the podcast. It's essentially about how do we see the rise of internet and having to do the business side besides the artist side, because that is one thing that a lot of new artists have to struggle with is, you know, they have to create, but then they also have to give the message out. They have to showcase their art, and that by itself is it's a completely different skill. You know, it's a different skill asset. So how do you guys manage having to create the artwork and then having to post it, share it? Do you have a website? Do you just rely on social media? or how do you guys deal with that?
I feel very lucky that video content became popular because literally when I was a teenager, I was like on my bathroom floor with my camcorder, like recording paint drips. So it's like something I liked to do before TikTok and Reels became a thing, was like just filming these weird, satisfying shots of paint being pushed around. So I feel like I got lucky that that became popular and I already had a passion there. But I feel like if you really like despise recording your process, then I don't think you should. If it's like impeding on your practice, then maybe you have to get creative and find a different way to market, or maybe you make videos of your pieces after they're already finished and you find a creative way to show that. But I always feel like there's a way to work around like your passions. Like you don't need to fully, you know, push your passions down in order to do that business side. I think you need to kind of work with your passions. It's just how I feel.
I can do it. Chad?
Man, I hate it. I hate it with the passion, and I'm jealous too of how, you know, people know how to operate those type of things. Like I don't, and I wish I did, because I have so many people like, oh, you should record yourself in the process of making your artwork. But I'm not that type of person to where like I like to show off the process. I always take a picture when it's done. I like to when it's just full in effect. Maybe because I don't like giving away, you know, the secrets of how I make things. You know, and that kind of resonates with me to growing up with specific, you know, music or bands. Like I kept it personal to me, because if everybody hears it, then now everybody knows about it, and it's not as special or meaningful to me anymore. So when I do my artwork like that, I like to just present it when it's completely done versus the process of doing it, because I'm afraid of people starting to take from it and doing. And it sounds selfish, you know, because I want to inspire people to do things too, but at the same time, I don't want them to tread on my personal accomplishments or feelings, because then it doesn't feel the same anymore. And I wish I could have websites where people can go on and choose what they want. I just tell them, hey, just DM me. It's easy. Throw your ideas at me, and I'll create something spectacular. I'll make your vision come to life in the best way possible. You know, for a price, you know. But yeah. I wish I was more tech savvy, but I'm not. I'm old school. You know, I still revert back to paintbrushes and acrylics, and you know, I don't do the whole digital thing, even though I wish I could. I envy those that do it, because they create some pretty cool stuff, but I feel it takes away from the whole experience of, you know, starting at point A all the way to point Z, you know. And it's the your blood, sweat, and tears that goes into that work. You know, it takes days, weeks, hours, versus somebody who just can render something in minutes, you know.
Sorry to interject, but it's exactly the point I'm trying to make. But you still need to make a living. Mm-hmm. And all three of you want to make a living being artists. So if you're the tree that falls in the forest that nobody hears, you're not making a living. So what do you do? What's your solution?
Shit, man, that's good.
Yeah,
It's individuals like you that help us artists get more exposure to these type of events, these type of environments where people can question us, follow us, ask more about us, to get ourselves out there, because it's hard doing it on your own. Sometimes I don't understand how I can see somebody post something that's very simplistic, you know, 30,000 views, you know, versus something that, man, you just put so much heart into and you get barely 50, you know. It's like, how do we expose ourselves more just sitting at home. But it's events like this, it's galleries like this that help us, that encourage us, that promote us, that want to expose us because they have the same passion. That's how I feel about it.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, yeah, because it is true. Like it is hard. If artists have a very specific mindset, they're artists. They're not like regular people who want to go to a 9 to 5, and then after they're done, doing work, they'll get a beer, go home, watch a movie or whatever. Like, no, they want to create. Like I see it from my brother, because again, I've been somewhat his business manager from time to time, because I know that he loves creating robots, and every now and again I'll have to create the post and then give it to him, and then he'll post it because he doesn't understand the business side of it, or just the social media aspect side of it, because he understands the going to a show and selling. He can do that. If he goes to a show in person, he can sell the art, no problem. But definitely the internet aspect of it is one of the biggest
What if
things.
there's no show?
You create your own. That's what we've done. It's like
In our houses, right?
in our house. That's how we started. Like we would call people up, we would text people up, like we would invite people over. And collectors are not hundreds and thousands of people in our context. They're the very few that are willing to give us money for art, and those are the ones that you have to keep close. If you post on Instagram, TikTok, or whatever, yes, you'll get thousands of likes, hopefully, but how many people are buying?
To add to your point,
Yeah.
we're not counting on you guys for financial literacy.
Yeah.
We're counting on you to entertain us,
Yeah.
to inspire us,
Yeah.
to make us
React.
explore
that emotion.
the channels in our mind that and doors that we never opened up.
Yeah. And that's where having a community, again, like the amazing people at Loiter Gallery, who are able to put the artists that may not be as tech savvy, but they have amazing work, put them together, and let's do a show. But it is something that we always have to work at, because it's not easy. It's not.
And I do have to add from my experiences recently this year, and I've had a few videos, reels on Instagram go a little bit viral. And that's all you want as if you're a beginner artist, it's what you think you need. But this year I've had a couple videos that had over 1 million views, and that painting is still in my apartment. I have not sold that painting. So to your point, it is about those few select people that are actually going to collect, and actually your work actually means something to them. It's not necessarily about reaching the masses about the end of the day. And I'm just kind of learning that.
Yeah, because
100%.
Because it is one of those things. Again, you guys here in the audience, you guys are here to listen to us, to hear what our experiences are, and yes, we send it out to I don't know how many hundreds of people. I know we have a newsletter that we send out. Partly Loiter Gallery has a newsletter that they send out. You guys have followers that you guys sent it out. But yes, social media is great. It's good for exposure, but it's not the ultimate thing.
Yeah, people just love being entertained at the end of the day, but it doesn't always mean they're gonna buy your art.
Yeah, and that's where we're thankful for the few that are here. We'll give you guys all the attention that you want, because you are here. You're not behind your phone, most likely on the toilet, scrolling through. No, but it is one of those things where finding a good community, and that's one of the things that I've loved from even getting to know Monica and Vinny, getting to know you guys is we know a lot of artists, and we know a lot of artists that do great work, but are not always willing to do the other side of it, the business side of it, like driving a couple hours to get here.
Yeah.
Like being willing to do the journey. And again, there's not that many people here today.
Sacrifice.
It's the sacrifices for the few people. There's enough people that are willing to enjoy our presence. And but yeah, that is a great question.
And you're using technology
Yes.
to expand that exposure.
Yeah, and again,
That's exactly the point.
we'll be creating it, we'll be posting it, we'll be sharing it, and hopefully the next time more people show up. But if not, the few people that do, that's all we care for.
Give these guys a hand.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
But yeah, and again, with that, thank you, Vinny and Monica, the great, amazing people at Loiter Galleries. Jackie as well, behind the camera as well.
And thank you, Loiter Galleries.
And like I said, this will become a podcast available on laartistpodcast.com and on all podcast platforms. Thank you guys for joining us. And hopefully it's out tomorrow, probably. But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Good job, audience. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you, Smog City.
And thank you so much.
Thank you so much for helping us get through it.
You have been listening to the LA Artist Podcast. Feel free to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss the latest episode. You can see bonus content on our Instagram at Loiter Gallery, as well as our website, loitergallery.com/podcast. Stay creative, keep creating, and no matter what, be passionate about your art.